Thank you for joining us. We are excited for one more songwriting workshop here at the Hit Music Studio, and we are dedicated to bringing you hopefully videos that can help you get started in the process of learning how to play hit songs, and at the same time also in the process of learning maybe on writing your own songs one day. So for us here at The Hit, we try to put content that can help you because we believe that there's a lot of information out there, but especially in songwriting, it's very, very easy to almost not know to where to start. So today we're doing about a half an hour, and the idea today is to truly leave you at the end with, okay, I can start with doing this, this, and this, because we want to try to get you guys truly started in this process. So we believe that songwriting is a beautiful thing. It's something that requires time and energy. I definitely want to say directly from the start that it's not gonna be something that it happens in, a couple of hours and you're amazing at it. I think the majority of people that write very well and write hit songs have been doing that for all of their life and literally are capable of writing hundreds and hundreds of songs. So we want to get you started because we also believe that the more that you do it, the better that you get at it. And we believe that if we give you some simple ideas, some very specific framework, you can start this process. So one thing that I like to mention when we talk to students is that songwriting is a huge part of the bulk of the music industry. When you write your own songs, it's a lot easier to be able to become an artist or have a band or be able to write music for, let's say, a commercial or for a TV show or a movie. So one of the things that as musicians, it's nice to be able to perform other people's music, but there is a very cool value of being able to write your own songs. And I even see this with the majority of artists that are successful now. You look at the top 10, and I would say the majority of them write their own songs. Sometimes with the help of other people, like it's very normal to collaborate. Sometimes when you see the credits of a song, you can see that there may be 10 people in the credit. So that's because sometimes maybe someone wrote a part and someone else wrote a part and someone else changed something. So it's very cool to get you guys started. If we haven't met, my name is Diego from the Hit Music Studio, and I teach regularly here at the Hit. And we are also starting to do free workshops for people that are interested in different subjects that we believe are functional for the students that we have here in our South Florida music schools. We have been in business for 14 years, and we definitely want to try to continue to bring as much value as we can for our students and for the people out there that may be interested into this subject. So let's start by talking about what is a song. By the way, I have here a PDF that we sent to the people that register for this workshop. If you don't have it, you can visit freesongwritingcourse.com. So that is going to be a page that we have in which you can put your email, and you'll get everything. You'll get an email with the PDF for this course. So again, one more time, that's freesongwritingcourse.com. And hopefully all that is rigged and working correctly, so you can put your information there and be able to get the PDF that we're going to be covering today. So with that said, let's talk about what is a song. One of the things that for me is interesting is when you talk about what is a song, a lot of people can't really define it, but it's important to start there. So a song is a short work of music. It's usually sung and has lyrics, and is, I would say now, mostly between 3 and 3 minutes and a half. So if you don't have a singer and you only have a guitar part, that's not necessarily a song. That may be a guitar piece or a piano piece. So it is important to know that you do need almost like the 3 elements that get songwriting going, which would be the lyrics, you need the chords, which is the harmony, and you need the melody. So sometimes, and I have young students sometimes that they go, oh, I'm writing my own songs, and they play a bunch of chords. And it's like, well, like just a bunch of chords is not a song. And just playing a bunch of chords in like a couple of fancy ways, or like, it sounds nice, that it's a part of a song, that it's almost like an arrangement, but that is not your own song. So your own song has multiple elements, and it's important to start to work on those. So one of the basic things about a song is that it has 3 main sections. And that is very, very important to be able to know which are the 3 sections. We have a verse, we have a chorus, and we have a bridge. And I would say the biggest job of a songwriter today is to get people interested in your song so they don't click away. If they don't stop the song, they don't play 10 seconds of it on YouTube and go like, I don't like it, and just go to a different video. It is a big challenge into how fast the pace is for everything that we do now in our life. But I would say the incredible ability that songwriters have that are really good at this is that you listen to 10 seconds and you want to listen to the next 10 seconds. And then you want to listen to the next 30 seconds. And by the time that you're done with the song, you want to listen to the song again. So if your song makes someone stop it 10 seconds in, you're in trouble. You need to try to work on your skill. The same thing if people are not wanting to hear it again afterwards. And we'll talk a little bit about some ideas how to get that going, because that is a very broad idea, but it's a very specific thing that you as a songwriter need to make happen. And I see it a lot with people, and recently I saw two examples of someone that I know is a musician. He is fairly old and accomplished. He put a song out. It's a new song for I guess his album. And then I saw someone that used to be our student, very young, that also put a song out. And to me, both songs, after listening to them and almost analyzing them a little bit, have some of the biggest issues that we are going to cover today not to do. And I would say when songs have an issue that has to do with how it's built, it doesn't matter if you have the best musicians in the world play it. It doesn't matter if you put money behind it so people can hear it on YouTube or Facebook. I think people don't react to a song that is poorly constructed. So it's very, very important that you guys get an idea into what are the basic elements and start playing with them. And you can even test, and I think I write, and one of the things that is interesting to me is that you can play your songs and not tell people what they are. And be like, oh, like, yeah, you know, let me play this song and see what you think. And people very interesting can sometimes give you a very honest feedback. I like it, but you know, it's just, and I think that is a very valuable thing as a songwriter, to be able to get feedback and have people tell you, I don't like it, and it's too slow, and it's boring, or because I think that can make you truly get better at your craft, at being able to do this correctly. So three main sections. Let's talk about them a little bit in detail. Like we have the verse. The verse, I like to explain this as almost talking about a movie. So what is the verse? The verse are the slow parts of the movie in which you see the character, you meet them a little bit, you have an idea why do they do what they do. You figure out this thing about their family and maybe that's why they're upset. So the verse is that moment in the movie in which you get a little bit of information of like, oh, okay, like this is what this person is, the way that they are. The chorus of the song tends to be like a higher energy, repetitious thing. I would like to say it's almost like the car chases in an action movie. It's like the high energy, very impact. That's what you almost very clearly remember. But at the same time, you have to make sure that both sections can work with each other. So that is very important, and we'll talk about one thing here in a second. But then you have the bridge, and usually the verse and the bridge act as an A part and B part. So it's almost like when we do, let's say verse would be the A part. Then you go to the chorus, which would be almost like a B part, and those are different. Then you go back to, let's say, verse again, that's A, then chorus again, and then the bridge is the C part. And we do need a C part because if you only play an A part for 3 minutes and a half, people are going to change your song. The same thing if you only do a chorus. So it's almost like those two act as ways of doing repetition and contrast, which I think is a very important ability as a songwriter. So I think as a songwriter, you want to almost play a game with people's attention. You want to throw something at them that they can listen to and somewhat enjoy, then repeat it a little bit. So it's almost, okay, like that sounds cool. I already heard it. It's a little bit the same or change. That keeps me engaged. And then there's a difference. So it's almost like if you do too much of one and not enough of the other one, it's hard for people to stay engaged on your song. And I do believe that contrast, it's, of course, we're talking about very broad things, but how do you get to be able to do that? It's an art form. And I think that's where you take people like Bruno Mars, Taylor Swift, Shawn Mendes, and they are really good at these things. Not only because they're good songwriters, but I think then they get the songs really well produced. And you hear the songs, and of course, like one section goes into the other, and you want to listen to it more. I think the true testament of a hit song is one that you can hear 5 times in a row and still not be like, bored with it, you know, be like, okay, I almost want to listen to it again. So important to know those three sections. Important to start to get good at being able to, when you write a song, be able to complete it. One of the things that we have seen in our classes for songwriting is that people write an A part and that's it. They are not able to do the B part. And I think one of the things that we're going to try to start with some courses here is that you want to push yourself to finish the songs. Even if you don't love it, even if you're like a little bit like, you know, the chorus of the song still is not what I want, I think it's easier to put something on a paper and to be able to edit it than to have nothing. So it's almost like my biggest advice for you guys is to write as much as you can, and to write and almost put it somewhere that you can come back and listen to it. Because maybe the next day you go like, oh, you know what, I don't like that, but I can change this. So very important, keep in mind, we have a lot of people, and I'll give you some examples in a second that I'm actually gonna play, that it's almost like I think they have the wrong idea of what is a song, and they tend to almost do parts and beats and pieces that it's almost like that's not the bulk of it. We'll talk about that in a second, but hopefully this is a very good, somewhat introduction, and that's what this class is about what are the basic three sections and how do they interact. And I would say keep in mind, one of the most important things is to be able to keep in mind the contrast and your ability to keep people engaged. So I do want to show you here, and we wrote there, and if you guys want to go to your handout when we have Dance Monkey, I want to talk about a very specific concept called voice leading. So voice leading is a huge thing. It's something that from Mozart to Bach to Bruno Mars and Shawn Mendes, that is still happening in songs. And one of the things that I would like to say, and we'll do a little bit at the end of today's session, if you are a singer, if you're a drummer, my biggest advice to you is that you need to learn how to play either guitar or piano, a little bit. I'll show you today some examples. Like, you don't need to become the best guitar player, you know, but at the same time, if you cannot play these instruments and you're trying to write your own songs, I think it's gonna be, you're gonna have almost like a barrier to be able to get them through. One of the biggest things about playing piano or guitar is that you can start analyzing them. And we're gonna break a couple of things here down from a couple of very successful songs, so you guys can see that when we're talking about these concepts, it's not an accident that certain songs are a huge hit. And at the same time, if your songs don't have any of these concepts and don't have any of these building blocks, and you're just writing a little bit like, oh, just whatever, your songs are likely not gonna be successful, because I think as listeners, we almost know what the standard is like. So very, very important to, when you're writing these things, to pay attention to the little details. It is a little bit intricate, and I'll show you a little bit of the process of analyzing something. Some of the concepts are somewhat advanced, so if you're a beginner, if you've never taken piano lessons, some of the stuff may be a little bit above where you are right now. But I will encourage you to try to take some lessons too, because it's as with anything, it's a process. I would say it's very hard to write your own songs if you have no clue of music. You're never taking a lesson. You want to be like self-taught. I think it's challenging. Can it be done? Probably. But I think it's a lot easier if you do understand music a little bit. So let's go back to voice leading, and let me change to the shot here of the keyboard so you can see my hands. Now, one of the things that voice leading is voice leading is your ability to be able to play notes that truly almost outline the shape of something, that outline the chords, and that truly move things to a certain place. So, for example, I'll start with, let's say, something as simple as Mary Had a Little Lamb. So when we play Mary Had a Little Lamb, the first note, I'm actually starting on the third of the chord. So one thing that voice leading has, and we'll talk about chords, you know, we'll give you some ideas at the end of what chords to use to get started. When we play notes, one of the basic things about music is a little motif in which you're going to take some notes and just play with them and try to start coming up with melodies. When the melody is very random and you don't use notes that truly define the chord, it's very hard for someone to like the song. So one of the things that I wanted to show you is, for example, in Mary Had a Little Lamb, I'm playing the third of C major to start the melody. I'm also playing a third when I do Jingle Bells. So from those two songs to something like Minuet in G, I have a third there again. So one of the things is from back to all the way to the songs that I'm about to show you, which is Dance Monkey and Girls Like You, having voice leading in how you create your melodies is really, really important. The basic thing about voice leading is using notes that really define the chord. And to simplify it today, I would like to try to tell you, try to look for the third of the chord. Now, if you don't know what a chord is or what the third of the chord is, that is something that we're not completely going to cover today, but that is something that will be good to take lessons and be able to like almost be clear about those. So I want to jump here to Dance Monkey, and you guys have the sheet music. So Dance Monkey has 4 chords, and one of the things is I want to show you the voice leading into Dance Monkey. By the way, Dance Monkey and Girls Like You, I think, are some of the most successful songs of the last couple of years. #1 probably really made a lot of money for the people that wrote it. So we have F sharp minor for the first chord, then we have D major, then we have E major, and then you have C sharp minor. Now, for this class, I only wrote the chorus, and I want to talk about how is that built and how is the melody built. Now, the third of an F sharp minor is A. The third of a D major is F sharp. One of the things that you want with voice leading is to land on that note when the chord is changing, because that truly outlines the chord. So if I'm starting on a C chord, I start on E. And then when I get to the next chord, which is, let's say, an F, I play that note because that is the third of the next chord. And let me show you how that's done in Dance Monkey. In Dance Monkey, the first chord you do. So look how I'm playing the F sharp right before I change to that chord on my left hand. So, and there the singer is truly outlining through voice leading the shape of the chords. Now also it's cool that it's a very like motif, so she's doing, and then it's almost like that motif gets almost so in this example of Dance Monkey, very successful song, whoever wrote it is landing on the third for the first chord, third again for the D major, third again for the next one. Now that's a little bit of variation, and I want to almost give you guys the idea that do you need to use a third for everything that you write? No, but it's a really good starting point. Now let me show you what happens when I don't use thirds, and let me say I just use the root of the chord. When I do the root of the chord, so what happens there, it's almost like it sounds like fluff, because the root of the chord doesn't really have the ability to give shape to almost anything. The root and the fifth of the chord are notes that do not really, they don't really add as much. It's not like you cannot use them, but we definitely want to almost give you the idea that when these things, and again, we'll do show you as well with Girls Like You, this is not an accident. And the interesting thing to me is that when people don't want to analyze songs, don't want to pay attention to how they're built, it becomes a little bit, okay, then how do you think you're going to be able to write your own hit? I would say it's a really good advice to take other people's songs and analyze them. Figure out why do they sound the way that they sound, why do the chords work the way that they work. So let's jump quickly to Girls Like You. Now, again, I'm working here with the chorus of the song. The chorus of the song is the most catchy part. Now, here we have the beginning of the chorus is starting on the root. There I'm hitting a third. So on the second chord, he is starting on the root, but he is hitting the third. So Girls Like You, that actually he's hitting the third, and then outlining this. So that also gets outlined on the second chord. Now, third chord, another third. So I'm playing the root, but he's going to the C and to the D, and then another third for the fourth chord, which is an F major. So on Girls Like You, super successful song, very catchy. Third on the first bar, another third, third there, third. And then even after, when he does the yes, is the same thing, yeah. That is a root. So one thing that for us was cool to do today is to show you the importance of truly putting a framework. So when you are doing these things, you start paying attention to how to practice this. So let me change here the camera one more time and talk about one thing. Now, if you are a singer, if you are a drummer, and even if you are, let's say, maybe a piano player, one thing that I would recommend, of course, if you have a piano, it's easier, but start to learn which ones are the thirds. And you can even, let's say, get a piano app, so that way you don't have to spend some money. And when you are writing your own songs, and we're gonna put a framework of chords that you can use, take the note that is the third and almost toy around with it. Okay, what can I do? Like if you tell me right now, okay, I want you to write a song on A minor. Okay, so let me write a song on A minor. Okay, you want the song to be, I guess, mid-tempo. Okay, so to me, immediately, I will start to be like, okay, what can I do with that C? That C is my third. And almost start, but do the motif again. So there, when I start with that note, I already have a framework that I know my voice leading, while of course it needs to be perfected, can start somewhere. Now, everyone writes differently. I prefer to do melodies first and then to put lyrics, and we're gonna do a separate class on lyrics. We believe, and this is a conversation that I've had with people that are very successful at songwriting, that it's easier to get the melody first and then fit lyrics to it. There's some people out there probably gonna tell you like, not for me, or we don't believe that that's true. Everyone's works differently, but if the melody is there and you already have a good shape, I think it's fairly easy to tailor the lyrics to it, because lyrics, you can almost stretch them out a little bit. When you have lyrics and you're forcing the lyrics to land on notes, is when I think it can get a little bit, it sounds almost like weird, because you're hearing someone go blah, 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 and it's almost like, because they're trying to say those many words, but the melody doesn't carry them. So that, of course, is it's a big, broad thing, but we definitely want to try to give you guys that framework. So if you go there to the next page, and this is, I think, where we're truly trying to help you guys to get started. The next page is called Songwriting Common Chord Progressions. So one thing that we wanted to show you there is the process of, okay, where do I start? Okay, I want to start writing my own songs after this is over in about 10-15 minutes. Okay, so I will tell you this. Directly use chords, and I wanted to, we're gonna do more workshops to explain why certain chords work, why certain chords don't work together. But in order to simplify it, we put already some chords here in that sheet for you, and we put them as piano, and we put them also as guitar. And in the page that we are working on, the free songwritingcourse.com, we're actually going to put tutorials of this, so you actually can learn them on piano, can learn them on guitar. So the biggest thing about these chords is that they already work with each other. So let me jump back here to a close-up of the hands and show you, for example, like the first songwriting common chords progression. Put this back on the clipboard so it doesn't fall. It would absolutely be something that I think you can start with the right hand. So the first notes that I have there are G, C, E. Now we even wrote them there, so you have, it's very easy to understand what they are. Right hand, G, B, D, A, C, E, and then F, A, C. One of the reasons, and I think to me it was very important to try to mention this to you guys today, one of the reasons that we want you guys to start here is because what happens. Can you use a computer to songwrite? Yes, but when you have someone in front of you or you're trying to look for options, I think it's a lot easier if you can play them. Because, for example, if I shut down what we use there for the intro and I just use the drums, for me it's very easy to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And if I have the ability to do that, you want a little bit more energy? So you can almost, as a piano player, or even if you're not a piano player, but as a songwriter, you want to try to be able to do these basic patterns, so at least you can get a feel for it. Okay, what happens if I do it fast? Okay, I don't like it fast, I want it slower. Well, what happens if I want like a reggaeton type of style? So as a songwriter, I think what playing these chords would do is allow you to have options. So one of the things that we want is try to start there. For example, the second one is a different group of chords. Let me mention one thing about the first one. I will start looking for which ones are the roots. In the first one is this note. And the second one is G major. It will be the B. So if you want to try to write your own melody, again, almost like trying to hit thirds. I would practice this page. I would get good at playing this very, very simply on piano. If piano is not your instrument of choice, maybe do it with guitar. I'll show you in a second on the guitar. None of this would be super hard. And with a piano, with technology, you can even use the transpose feature to be able to get other keys and to be able to make this sound very differently. So I think practicing these chords, the interesting thing is all of these options that we gave you on this page, and I believe it's 4 different lines and it's 4 different options, they all are based on successful songs. So for example, like the third note, 1, 2, 3, this is the third line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, second one. So I would try to start writing your own patterns using this sets of chords, just because in order to get started, you want to practice. And I would practice with progressions, that's what they're called, progressions of chords that already belong together, already work well together. So for me, it's really important to try to keep these sessions on time. So let me change here to the guitar so we can talk a little bit about that. And again, hopefully this is truly getting you guys a good framework of where to start. So let me show you on guitar here super quick what we're talking about if you pass there to the last page. Now, absolutely, I would say this takes time. And one of the things, and that's what we call the class Introduction to Songwriting, what do we want you to start doing? Practicing these things, so the next time that you go, like, you know, today I'm feeling a little bit sad and I would like to like write a song about it, you already have practiced these, because if not, I almost feel like it's the entry point is to be able to play them. So, for example, in the page for guitar, we have a G major, then we have C major, you have D major, and I would say E minor. Now you can copy the progressions of chords from the other page, the one that has the piano ones. So, and just start doing songs from that. So, you know, with the pick, very simply, just playing downstrokes. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now, part of songwriting, if you're gonna start humming your own melodies, you probably need to get proficient enough. So when you're trying to create your own melody and you're trying to find the third of these chords, your mind doesn't almost get completely used by, okay, I need to play this. Because I think part of what you want is to be able to start creating. Now, a really good suggestion, and this is something that I personally do, is use some kind of like app. You can use that on phones or iPads to get recordings. So for example, if you're still like, let's say, beginning on guitar, play the chords. Maybe it can be this one and this one, only those two. So record yourself playing 1.5 minutes of that, and then maybe with the piano and figuring out the thirds, start to look for melodies, start to look for ideas. Now, I think that's where playing an instrument becomes very functional, because if I go like, you know what, I don't like it that slow. It's a lot easier to do that on an instrument that you somewhat are able to like go through than to try to do it through a computer. So when we're talking about computers and software and all that, I think it's incredible what you can do. And there's some producers out there and some people that will make incredible things, and they cannot play a single note on an instrument. But I do believe it's a little bit easier. And if you are someone that is interested in songwriting, I would definitely encourage you guys to invest in probably lessons for either piano or guitar. I work with a couple people that are famous, that are very accomplished songwriters, and they all play either guitar or piano. And one interesting thing is that sometimes people don't know that they play guitar or piano because they don't really perform at a show playing guitar or piano, but they actually do. So once they are in their house trying to write a song, they'll probably sit at either of those instruments and try to write something. So we hope this was a good amount of information of where to get started. I would say, of course, songwriting is super broad. One of the things that I really like about people that I guess admire as songwriters, almost everyone that is a very successful songwriter writes hundreds of songs a year, literally. Some of them, I think, write, and I think this is an important thing for all of you guys to keep in mind. You should write because you want to express something. You shouldn't write because you want to be famous. You shouldn't write because you want to have a really big YouTube channel. Because I think it's when you write, it should be because you have a voice and you want to try to say something about a feeling, about something that you saw, about a story, something that happened to you, something that happened to someone else. But I think at the same time, I think songwriters should write because they need to write, not because they're trying to make money, not because they have almost like a different reason. So it is very cool, and I think it's very cool to, when you're feeling an emotion, to try to put it into a song. And I think the majority of songs that are very powerful and very successful usually is because the person that wrote it, I think, was connected to an emotion when they were writing it. I think they also know about this stuff. They also know about voice leading. They also know about chords. All that stuff can get polished, but I think it's very important that it comes from an emotional side, I would say. Because if not, we'll probably have computers writing hit songs. And I think to this day, as far as I know, there's not a computer that you can, turn some software on and be like, write me a hit song, and have the song come out on the other end. It's still done with people. So one more time, super thankful for you guys joining us. I don't know if we have any questions. We have here a couple ways of communicating with you guys. One thing that for me would be important to encourage you guys is to practice writing. And I would say at the beginning, because we have done courses before, and one of the issues that we have seen is this: try to write your songs at the beginning about very simple things, almost silly songs, almost like Mary Had a Lamb. The biggest thing that we have seen with people trying to write is that they want to write a Shawn Mendes song to start. They want to write something that it's, number one, sounds like a number one hit. I would say almost the opposite is probably going to help you. Try to write a song about something super simple and a very simple subject. I think that can truly help, because then it's almost like you're not trying to write a really successful song. You're trying to write something to practice. So it is really important to practice and to not really stop in that process, because I think it is something that takes, in a lot of times, a lifetime. And at the same time, I think you do get better. I really admire Ed Sheeran as a songwriter, and he says that to him, songwriting is a little bit like opening a faucet. When you're in a place that the water is not completely clear at the beginning, it's almost like it has like dirt, like one of those houses, maybe like in rural areas, that the water, you can't really drink it. But what's interesting is that when you open it and you let it run for a while, the water starts to come clear. He uses that analogy to your beginning of writing. And I do think that at the beginning, it's not going to be great. Your first songs are probably going to be your worst songs. So you do want to write, and you want to try to write complete things and put them somewhere, store them somewhere, store them as a way that you can go back to them later on, because I think that would truly help. So we hope to see you guys very, very soon. We're the Hit Music Studio. If you want the PDF for this session, definitely visit that website, freesongwritingcourse.com. And we are also going to continue to bring, hopefully, a lot of value to the people that follow us on YouTube, because we believe in trying to help a lot of, especially young people that can get easily lost in the information out there of how to get started with songwriting, and also how to get started playing an instrument and playing your favorite hit song. We'll see you guys on the next one.